thank you very much, audience and panelists, for this long wait. I'm sorry got delayed due to the previous panel's deliberations, which evicts much more interest than what we planned for, I guess. But we will make it as crisp as possible. We have structured our interactions. We have in fact spent more than 1 hour. We have already conducted our own panel discussions before. So I think with that background, we will get started. So this session is all about 5G, both from a regulatory and spectrum perspective. How this can facilitate innovation in the ecosystem. So there are two aspects to this innovation question that we will discuss. One is from regulatory as an enabler or as a constraint, and then spectrum again on the possibilities that it will throw in terms of innovation. So maybe I'll first start with Mr. Parag from a spectrum perspective, new products, services. How do you feel that there would be possibilities for innovation?
See, in order to understand, good evening everybody. So what basically I'm going to say is that from the point of view of innovation, one needs to understand that what additional capability the new technology called IoT enables the innovators to do it. That's really what to understand. Now, conventionally, if you look at all the 4G technology, when 4G came, what it did was basically raise the ability to use large bandwidth, and therefore you were able to drive large data rates, data streams over a certain quantum of spectrum. Now, what 5G does is it enhances the capability of the operator exponentially to aggregate large quantum. That's very important to understand. Your 4G is to aggregate 20 megahertz chunks of spectrum, and you basically have multiples of those chunks, and it kind of create a lot of density. But 5G, sky's the limit. You can actually aggregate huge quantum of spectrum, so therefore your bandwidth increases tremendously, exponentially. That's one. Second is that it kind of enhances latency. It basically makes latency very, very low. And because of this important consideration, that is the capacity to drive huge bandwidth and able to drive low latency, a lot of new applications can get innovated on top of the 5G layer. And this was not possible in 4G. So there are various applications which will require instantaneous signal transmission over the network in order to drive those applications. And if you are not able to instantaneously transmit your commands over the network, then those applications won't work. So those applications which are critical from the point of view of carrying the message instantaneously over the network requires 5G capability. And seamless data transfer, there should not be any constraint. And then on top of it, spectrum efficiency is also increased. And another aspect which is very important for everybody to understand, that typically what happens is in case of wireless network, when you are talking about 4G, every 4G base station typically used to enable a low of RF. Low means kind of a bandwidth or a kind of a physical, you can say RF signal, where all the users using that particular sector can latch into. So it basically means that if you have a common pipe, and with the common pipe, if you have only one user, the user will be able to get the full capacity of the pipe, so he will not be constrained. But suppose if there are multiple users latching onto the same pipe, and it is being served by the same pipe, like water flowing in the pipe, and if you are having taps connected in the same pipe, and everybody is using the pipe, his capability to harness the capacity of the pipe will get diminished by the number of users who get latched onto that pipe, right? Whereas in the 5G, what happens is that because of a new technology called beam steering, you are able to create multiple physical paths through a technology called MIMO, massive MIMO, and every user can be served by a different beam of signal, and therefore creating a spatial segmentation between users. So if you have a spatial segmentation between users, then as the users latch onto the network, the capacity or the throughput of the existing user does not get diminished. And that is basically emulating wireline kind of capability through wireless, which was earlier not possible in case of 4G because the user capability to harness the capacity of the network gets diminished as more and more user latch onto the network, whereas it is a 5G, it does not diminish, and that enables the 5G network to able to drive broadband, in a wireless manner, which normally you used to get only a fixed line connection either by a copper cable or by a fiber optic cable. So that opens up new possibility of innovation, new capability to the operator to ramp up their broadband connectivity rates significantly, because today we have just 26 million broadband subscribers and real broadband subscribers. I'm not talking about 512 kilobits per second, that's really million. I'm talking about the real broadband subscribers where all kinds of applications and all kinds of requirements like all working from home and all of that, all the things are working on. That number can be enhanced significantly using 5G. So that's a very important thing that we do.
Thank you, Mr. Parag, for laying so well, so lucidly the technological foundations of driving this equation. Now, looking at it from an external perspective, I would like to invite Mr. Julian. As you see India from outside, what do you think it takes to grow this at the third superpower, as it so nicely put it? What are those enabling factors in your opinion?
Sure, thank you very much. So looking from outside in from an international perspective, I do refer to India as the potential third superpower in 5G, China and India, because the landscape here is different, and actually the rest of the world hasn't gone down the 5G path, and we now look to India as the beacon of what's happening in the use case. So from a policy and regulatory point of view, making sure that the basic building blocks are in place to support the innovation that is going to allow India to be a leader is critical. In starting off, that's what we're looking in 3 areas. First is about effective license, spectrum licensing. I mean, that's critical to make sure there's an adequate spectrum available in the right time, fair price, to allow performance and the performance that we just heard about. Without that, the performance is constrained. You don't achieve those benefits. It's not going to support the innovation. Because innovation in the 5G world is not just about faster. It's actually about changing the way industry and how we do things, how we communicate with the world, and how we build a digital nation. I mean, 5G is an essential part of the larger story of 5G transformation. So, the auctions recently were a great step forward, and a significant step from where we were 3 years ago, where there was real concerns about the ability for India to create investment and innovation to make India a leader. And so, with that multi-band, GSMA's forecast is going to contribute about 450 billion to the India GDP between about 2030 and 40. And to most of the bold statements yesterday, I would say, I would say on the positive side of our forecast, and wait to see what will happen with that. But to make sure that happens, one of the key things, we need to encourage investment to create sound, firm foundations for encouraging investment in innovation. That means really around spectrum roadmap that extends out across the bands, providing adequate spectrum. In the short term, we really see it as another 2 gigahertz required between now and 2030, and 6 gigahertz band really plays a big part in that, and making sure there's adequate spectrum allocated. Obviously, with WRC coming up next year, it's important around harmonising spectrum bands, and really that comes back to India's ambition to be a digital leader and a 5G leader. It means they need to embrace that, and more than just comply or support, actually be part of the standards development and leading development of application spectrum and playing that role. It's not just about participation, it's actually be a leader and through demonstration and participation actually demonstrate what can happen. Other policy activities really need to really need to be bedded down to support that innovation. There's been a lot of great work done on today, but there's still an implementation step to go and actually make that execution happen and see the real use cases be able to play out and roll out. Other areas around harmonising EMF and across the international stage, being a leader means not only setting standards, but actually living by those standards. And have had a big impact on currently India's levels, maybe place constraints on network rollout, competitive constraint against other countries when it comes to attracting innovation and the cost of deployment being higher. And obviously there's important rapidity in academic sharing. And finally, obviously setting up a strong user base and a population of a digital nation requires adoption of other programs and bridging that digital usage gap. Currently India's low global average, high 4G coverage, only about 1% of the population still to cover, but 60% usage gap is a significant, say, handicap, perhaps, against some other markets. So even in India's scale, it's completely different disadvantage against other countries with much higher adoption across the nation. And to solve that means digital skills, making sure people got digital skills. It's been highlighted in a number of forums, chats and days, what's called the digital adoption. Obviously, affordable handsets and making sure that's supported. And then, of course, the gender gap also needs to be addressed with women like to have smartphones about 46%, against 73% for men. The fun thing I like to say is with India getting the G20 chairman role next year, hosting the G20, it's really an opportunity for India to make those further bold steps and become a global champion and use that championship to actually show where India is going to become a global superpower.
Thank you, Mr. Julian. So beautifully covering multiple perspectives. What it takes for our country to attain superpower status as a third superpower in the world, and what it means in terms of responsibility as well, of being at the forefront of regulation as well. So from that perspective, I now seek your inputs in terms of what it takes, what are the things that you would recommend for us from a regulatory perspective to be world leading in that sense.
Thank you very much for the question. See, there are two pillars which govern telecom. One is policy, second is regulation. And both are intertwined with each other. We have been pushing from COAI that regulation should be light touch. But we have also been saying that no regulation is not the answer. In one extreme is very tight regulation, another extreme is no regulation. Both are wrong. We have to be somewhere in between, and where the regulation is controlled and justified. This is the regime that we are looking at, and we are looking at regulation of not only policies, we are also looking at regulation of the TSPs and the subscribers. So the entire spectrum should be covered by the light touch regulation, which has to be dynamic rather than static. And this is a unique thing that we are seeing in the island, that yes, they are becoming a little more alive to the environment, and therefore the regulation is becoming dynamic, which is very good. We're seeing a similar shift happening in the government policy side also, but then there has to be a balance, and that is something that we have been asking for.
Thank you, Julian. I think you very well got points, two dimensions. One is it to be light touch, and second, it has to be dynamic in terms of meeting the evolving needs, both very important, and that would serve us in terms of being at the forefront of the leadership as well. Now shifting from regulatory to back to spectrum, Mr. Debashish, we could share your views around the part of the spectrum that is unlicensed part of the spectrum. How do you feel this can be used in order to drive better competition?
Thank you. At the outset, let me thank the organizers for inviting Broadband India Forum to participate. I'm actually standing in for Mr. T. Raman, the president, who couldn't make it today. And I want to thank the moderator, Dr. Raman, for asking the question. We have very, I would say, specific views on the requirement of unlicensed spectrum, particularly from the point of view of propagating digital innovation in not only in this country but across the world. Based on global best practices that we have seen across the world, we have seen that if, while innovation is not a preserve of a particular community or a particular operator or a particular service provider, innovation can happen anywhere and everywhere, and it should be democratized as far as possible. Therefore, to say that only all spectrum should be put under the license basket and to be able to only innovate from the licensed spectrum is perhaps a little out of place. The role of unlicensed spectrum, particularly certain bands, some of which were referred to by Julian in his presentation, like 60 gigahertz, and another one that I would like to take up is 60 gigahertz, the B band, the lower part of the B band, 57 to 66, are bands which have been globally utilized in other parts of the world, for innovation. And the kind of innovation that we are seeing in these bands is something that we could actually replicate not only in India, but we could use our startup and academia. The kind of innovation that is possible from India is something that we could probably outshine those of our global counterparts as well, if certain bands like the ones that I specified, the 6 gigahertz and 60 gigahertz, are open for delicensed or unlicensed usage. The kind of applications that can be run on these bands, and some of which are already prevalent in other parts of the globe, like the use of short-range devices, SRDs as they're called. They are extremely popular in both these bands. The use of augmented reality, AR, VR in these bands, the use of these bands for secondary connectivity, for providing large-scale public Wi-Fi to secondary areas, to augment those areas where probably mobile broadband either cannot reach, or it is probably economically not feasible to cover those areas because these are low ARPU areas. So these are certain bands unlicensed bands, which could actually help if they are used or they are delicensed by the government of India, could help in actually proliferation of broadband for all, which is a mission of the national mission of the government of India. It will help in that, and also at the same time, one must understand that today, if you look at the Ookla test results or a speed test result of where we are on the average speed on mobile broadband, we are at about a third of the global average. And what is the reason for that? One of the reasons, and there are plenty of reasons, which all the experts sitting here can actually explain. One of the key reasons is the availability of spectrum. There isn't enough spectrum for the operators to meet the requirements or the speed requirements of all the users. And there are almost, as Parag mentioned, about 800 million users of broadband in this country. So it is not possible for everybody to get a very good quality experience and thereby get good quality speeds. So how do we augment that? So if the service provider gets hold of some other bands, which currently it is loathed from using, so if those bands are made available, the service provider has a larger kitty, a larger chunk, which he can then utilize both the elements of mobile broadband and that of public Wi-Fi to help complement, provide a good quality broadband speed to the average user, which then thereby making sure that the spectrum using mobile data offload, he can actually make sure that the spectrum that is required to connect to the last mile using the mobile licensed spectrum can then be offloaded to the public Wi-Fi network, and thereby releasing the mobile spectrum for greater usage and better usage, thereby increasing the speed and the quality of experience of the mobile broadband. So therefore, the role of unlicensed broadband or unlicensed spectrum is extremely useful when it comes to A, proliferation of mobile broadband, and B, in terms of improving the quality of experience and the speeds that you can get on a mobile network. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Debashish, for so well articulating the role of unused or unlicensed part of the spectrum, often overlooked, as you rightly put it, how it can really provide augmented experience as well as serve the inclusiveness that you have covered. So so important for our country. Now I will move over to Mr. Saurabh. Looking at future from here, what do you think are some of the priorities in terms of future needs of 5G?
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, everyone. Really congratulate the organizers and successful IMC 2022. So when we talk about 5G and the future needs that it holds, we need to look at probably some statistics as of now. See, at Airtel, at our network, we are already having roughly around 19 GB per user per month of data usage. International organizations predict, as well as Indian researchers, that it's likely to reach 50 GB per user per month. And we have not yet accounted for the machine-generated traffic which will happen on the networks. So what it means is that the traffic is only going to grow over the networks over the years. Machines will have different use cases. The different industries that will be enabled on the networks due to usage, which effectively means that we have to account for, from a long-term perspective, the real needs that will emerge. As Mr. Debashish rightly highlighted, typically in past, the operators were constrained due to limited supply of spectrum, which to a large extent reasonable and good government policies have been accounted for. But as the technology moves, probably the needs of spectrum, which is the lifeblood of a telecom network or mobile network, that keeps on growing. So from that perspective, it becomes critically important to have those needs accounted for. Voice has moved on to data in a form, which means the data is now consuming more and more use cases and types of revenues. So, given from the 5G perspective, what is being offered to the operators currently is that we have roughly around 360 megahertz of the spectrum in mid-band was recently allocated to the industry. However, that will probably cater to the present needs of 5G as we launch ahead. From a future perspective, to cater to the exponential jump that will happen on the network, it means that we need to still have somewhere around between 1.2 to 1.3 gigahertz of additional spectrum for the country, at least in the mid-band. I think global organizations like GSMA, they have done some researches and sufficiently indicate that at least 2 gigahertz of mid-band spectrum would be a future need. So coming to that, what it means on the second term is that first of all, you have to account for from a long-term perspective what spectrum industry requires. And also need to ensure the core 5G bands that the operators require do not get fragmented in a way which constrains the development of 5G mobile networks. So those policies also have to be accommodated in the sense that operators' 5G needs and needs of different industries and use cases are duly accounted for. What it would mean as a solution possibly is that probably the government will have to look for more spectrum bands and millimeter and mid-band spectrum further to allocate to operators. And I think we are not even scratching the surface of 5G. We are still looking at what it can potentially hold at the different use cases we have seen since yesterday. And today, India is a market where, while the world is still searching for a proper use case to emerge as a killer app, as we call it, but I think there's so much of variety and diversity in India that different use cases can emerge in no time. But yes, it will take its own time. But when it's happened, the networks have to have sufficient capacity. We don't know what to do.
Thank you, Mr. Saurabh, for bringing that future perspective, because we not only need to plan for what is the requirement now, but what is going to be the requirement for the next decade. And that's what you brought out. And how that's important, again, for a diverse country, diverse spaces. That's most important. So I will briefly open for any questions from audience, one or two questions. If anybody has, please. And it's one of the last sessions of the day, perhaps. But this is very thought-provoking in terms of what our panelists covered, how spectrum and regulatory can really enable and serve as a foundation for the ecosystem.
Sorry, well, I want to be respectful and you were attending a couple of sessions before this. I'm not sure if I missed this, but with the policy environment and regulatory environment of EU sort of set up, indirectly probably mimics it in a couple of ways.
So, can you just rephrase the question? Can you just rephrase the question?
Yes, I need my question. Okay, sorry for that. My question is, in terms of the as-a-service models that are emerging in the economies now, specifically in India, sort of the customer base is very diverse. How does one, from a policy and regulatory perspective, even start thinking about some of the potential pitfalls or maybe account for some of the flexibility when we write regulations? Because regulations is, as definition typically set in stone and set up a framework. So how do we allow flexibility for the country and services?
I think Debbie touched that point when you talk about what I noted as light touch and dynamic regulation. Would you want to expand?
Yes, you're right. The regulation has to be in consonance with what is expected by the market, and that is what is done in regulation. And the regulation once made cast in stone, it has been reviewed, and that is what is now being done. Many regulations have been revisited and recast as per the new requirements. Secondly, as we are becoming of a diverse population, whenever a regulation is made, there is an open house discussion. And everybody is invited to come in and give their views. And it's only after that they consider decision is taken by the regulator as to what type of regulation will come about. It is not as if they go only by their own tests or by the pressures of the TSPs. They take the opinion of everybody, including consumers. Right? The last thing is about light touch. So while the regulation is there, it is finally the market forces which should drive regulation. Right? And that is where I'm saying it should be light touch and not very strict. And in India, light touch is important because it is a mixture of regulation and policy. Regulation in India is advisory, it is not binding. So the policy maker has the right to either overrule it or negate it. Right? So therefore, it is not as if that one body gives out regulation and it has to be there the way that it is articulated. It's not like that. So it is very dynamic and it is very flexible.
I was just unlicensed.
Let me attempt to answer the same question in a different way. The licensing part is an important aspect to decide what kind of services that you roll out. In India, the universal license that is given to the service provider is actually technology agnostic, service agnostic. So you need to just take an authorization and then it's up to you to decide whether you want to offer it as a standalone service or you want to give it to a mass community or you want to do it. So it's not so much as regulation as much as it is a licensing aspect, which actually decides how you want to utilize the capabilities that you have to be able to run it the way you want it. So there is complete flexibility from that standpoint. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, please.
Good evening. So my question is next step question. One thing is about network. So our network providers actually helping those small entrepreneurs which are getting into 5G domain to get multiple services. We say this word a lot in India, diverse market. We have option of getting multiple kind of services. But these services will actually come from small and medium players and sometimes small entrepreneurs. So are the network providers going one step ahead and helping these guys so that we can create an ecosystem where 5G will help every segment of the society?
Absolutely. I think the ecosystem is quite valid. I will request.
Sure. Thank you. I think that's a very good question. And as telcos, as network service providers, we do realize that's how probably the entire construct of a digital world has changed. So coming from a siloed services like voice, SMS, etc., and also converged service offering, which means is the innovation is not just happening within the telcos, it's happening around the edge. There's startups, there are entrepreneurs, there's services and technologies that not necessarily that we'll build. But it also means is that we have the platform, we have the connectivity, we have expertise built over decades, built over a century as a telecom service industry that we can offer to entrepreneurs, to those who want to innovate. And as Airtel, I can definitely tell is a lot of innovation that Airtel is bringing to fore. you can go and watch our booth as well. There are a lot of services that we offer now is actually not typically telco services that you would count for, but actually around the digital arena. And it's not just Airtel. We are collaborating with a lot of startups. Airtel runs a successful startup accelerator program. We give them the seed funding. We are actually investing in some of the startups on hardware side as well, who build routers, etc. And we give them platform not just within India, but actually with our global partners so that they can reach out. So I think it's a given that it has to be a win-win. It has to be a collaborative effort. And the way probably 5G will transform in future, it's but natural that you'll have to work across industries and sectors. So probably as a telco, I won't have expertise or technical capability in every stream or every sector, which means I have to reach out to healthcare expertise. I have to reach out to any other guys who might be developing their own solutions. So how do I integrate their services and solutions into my network, and what capabilities in turn I can offer to them so that they grow and scale up? I think that's absolutely necessary in future.
Thank you. I'd like to take this question from another standpoint. One is, of course, the role that is being played by the licensed service providers. There is a category of service providers who are now in what is called the PM Vani ecosystem, which is the public Wi-Fi ecosystem. That's a completely so-called service providers who are registered with the DOT and are allowed to spread public Wi-Fi across the country. And this is actually meant for rural areas, areas with low ARPUs, where connectivity is required to initiate or sort of foster digital innovation. So there are, today, if you go onto the Saral Sanchar portal of DOT, you will see about 400 entrepreneurs who have signed up, out of which about 150 are now currently active, working to spread the broadband across rural and technically non-feasible areas where mobile broadband cannot reach. So this is another platform, just like they have a platform, there is another platform which is government controlled and government initiated, which can be used for spreading innovation across the country. And there are a number of startups which are working in the area of providing apps, providing services, providing connectivity, providing back-end authentication and roaming. So roaming is now possible using public Wi-Fi. So with the help of PM Vani. So this is an ecosystem which is still nascent, under development, but is picking up rapidly. And this is one area that needs to be spread across the country, because this is the way forward. Along with 5G, you will have public Wi-Fi also growing at the same pace. And that is where you will see the synchronization and the broadband in urban and broadband in rural coming together to make India a global superpower in the area of broadband for all, and to proliferate, to leap up to the next level of digital innovation. Thank you.
Thank you, Debashish, for providing.
Certainly across the world we see the proliferation of ecosystem curation, I would say. Shortly, or GSMA in Asia Pacific, we operate an ecosystem called APAC 5G Industry Community, where the objective is to reduce the barriers to adoption of IoT 5G to transform enterprise. And that community is made up of operators, vendors, SI, innovators, startups, and they come together to share the knowledge about the technology and innovations across the region and even within countries that help drive the 5G innovation. Shortly, we'll be launching what we call the alliances, because actually the proliferation of ecosystem owners is actually going vertical and also horizontal. So healthcare associations creating ecosystems around certain types of telemedicine or medical imaging, and that happens in all sorts of verticals, logistics, mining, manufacturing, and operators obviously have a key role as part of that, but they're not the only players. And fundamentally, it comes back, but also making sure that the government and the policy and the regulatory frameworks encourage consistent and future investment. I mean, the reality of the startup ecosystem is, four out of five or so startups might fail. I mean, that's what the sort of statistics from the 4G era. And actually, we need to get to the circumstance where actually people need to invest and fail and learn from that, because that's a measure of the health of an ecosystem, and that's the sort of ecosystem that's going to help drive 5G forward. And so we need to make sure we also building those devices and ecosystem.
So thank you very much. So just distilling the essence of this panel discussions before I conclude, there are 5 key takeaways from this panel. One is the aspiration part, where we talked about how India has the right capacity for being the third global superpower, perhaps, and one of those enabling steps. That's the aspiration part. The second part is the potential. So how we talked about the capacity, latency, the great potential that 5G offers for innovation, and how do we leverage that potential for really driving the innovation forward. The third is more in terms of inclusiveness. How do we not only have the aspirational potential, but how do we spread it across? How do we democratize using the unlicensed part as well as the overall ecosystem that's there? Fourth is agility. How do we bring in the dynamic policy framework, dynamic regulations that adjust and also still remain light touch? And finally, the fifth one is future thinking, forward thinking. How do we make sure that we not only have the current leadership of innovation, but also really lay the foundation for future leadership? Thank you very much, panelists. And all the best as we go forward. And thank you.
Thank you so much. I would just like to say, even after, with the limited time span that we had, this was indeed such an insightful session from all of you. And for this, we would like to present a small token of appreciation and memento to all of you. So thank you so much again.